Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the European Racing Series Grand Prix here in Japan. I'm Ben Rwaggy McConnell, and joining me, as per always, in the commentary box is David Falsetto Time Tate. How you doing? This is awkward because he is actually here. I assure you. I think he's done the usual.
He's done the usual.
There it is. Yep. He's done the
So
usual.
sorry.
Forgetting his mute button. Are you all right? Are you well? Are you safe?
I'm well. I'm still alive, just about.
Yeah, unlike your mic for about a good 30, 40 seconds there.
Yeah, I had you debated there.
You know what happens next though? This is all your fault. You know that, don't you?
Okay.
As a result of your behaviour, I have to punish you now by asking you very clearly. I want your top 1, 2, 3 prediction for the end of qualifying. Go.
Okay, Hypers, Mizo, Camille.
Really? That easy?
Yep.
And Mizo over Camille? Really? Mizo P2?
Yes.
Now, are you basing that on the fact that he's your friend, or are you basing that on the fact that you think he's actually got the pace to
I
win?
am completely impartial, not biased commentator towards the Alfa Romeo RNL drivers here. No, not at all.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think it will be close between Camille and Mizo, but I think Mizo will come out on top. He's been around longer, and yeah.
Now, there is or at least a new person to me. I don't recognize this person at all. Hugo's. Do you know anything about him?
No. SRL driver, as you can see in the prefix of his name. So
Two SRL,
obviously,
to be honest.
what, double the talent then? Obviously.
You know what I'm quite sad about? I mean, in terms of your prediction, I think your prediction's pretty much bang on. I'm going to apologise, as much as I want to back Mizo, I just can't back him for P2. I do think it's going to be Hypers, and then Camille, and then Mizo. But the thing I'm quite sad about is Yepany really does have pace, and he has shown it in the past. But I've not seen it as of recent. I've not seen him just really destroy it on the circuit. He seems to invalidate quite frequently. He seems to cause himself no end of problems when it comes to qualifying. And then you get into the race, and it seems to follow suit. I don't seem to see him do anything different. He doesn't spice up his race in any way. He doesn't show us anything of any massive skill. I want to see Yepany back near the top, absolutely tearing it up as usual in previous races. But I don't know. He's going to have to fix something quick.
Yeah, there is a kind of explanation for that. I did speak to him a few days ago on my own stream. He just doesn't practice as much as he used to. He says, and above all, he doesn't practice qualifying at all. So he is solely practices the race, but just doesn't put enough time in to be competitive.
I mean, that'll do it. Let's be honest.
That'll do it. Yep.
It's a shame. It's a shame, really. And I kind of understand why they're not. He doesn't feel the need to or want to practice. But at the same time, I think it's a vicious cycle, really. He doesn't practice because he doesn't feel as though it's worthwhile, but his race pace is then not enough for him to be motivated enough to then practice for the next race. If he won a race after practicing quite hard for it, he may feel completely different for it. But yeah, as you say, him not practicing does kind of really put a dampener on the spirits. And I do believe that Kagan is currently the first one out on circuit to do a hot lap.
Kagan's... Oh yeah, Kagan. Sorry, I thought you meant Camille. Yeah, it does seem to be the furthest along. Yeah. I think
There is a Ferrari, which is Dennis, but he's on. Oh, that's a mistake from Kagan. Bit of a tank slapper there. Did catch it through the second part of Spoon, but that lap is done and dusted. Now we have to wait a little while for the next driver to come across, which I think is Yonti. Yes, it is.
Just a word on Kagan. It happened a lot in Singapore. Oversteer was his real Achilles heel. I hope that's not going to be the case for another miserable Tuesday night.
I think it's a lot more down to his heavy right foot. He seems to be overly aggressive when it comes to the accelerator, and every time he comes out of corners, he just stamps the accelerator. It can work, and I've seen it work, but it's so hard to be so good at that kind of style of driving. Camille is another driver who's very similar to that kind of thing. He has a bit more of a tame right foot, but at the same time, it's just not enough. As Yonti chucks in a beautiful lap time, a 1:27.672 on soft tyres. Although the one scary factor there is Mizo, who's done a 1:28.072 on medium compound tyres. Hyperzo, who we predicted to be P1, currently sat P2 by 300ths of a second.
It hasn't quite come onto the boil yet. I do not think that is going to be his final time. I would not be surprised at all to see him dip into the 1:26s. Mizzo as well, that's really impressive for a medium time, and I think he's obviously going to drop down that compound for his final run, or his final 2 runs maybe. So I think we will see him shooting up the board later on.
Yep.
Camille, uncharacteristically, quite far down. Well, we saw this in Russia, but I thought he'd come over the woes of Russia.
Well, it was more that he had just got new pedals, was more what the issue was in Russia. Now, I did see him race at the weekend, and he was back onto his usual pace. He was very, very fast. Whether he'd switched back to his old pedals or whether he'd stuck with his new ones and actually just learned how to drive with them, I couldn't answer that. I really don't know. But I guess we can use this race, this qualifying session as an indicator as to where he sits. But right now, like you said, 128.784 is just not going to be enough to get him anywhere near the top 10 when it comes to later on everybody else chucking the times in. We are seeing, though, some decent times from the Renault guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might be. It might just be a case of them showing their cards a little bit early. I think Yonti, Hugos, and Copy putting down solid laps, but I think Spicy and Hypers will be able to put in much more later on. Spicy is the, I think, runner-up last year, so definitely some good pedigree in ERS from him.
Now, just going back to the same conversation I was saying about Yepany, in the same vein as how we've seen Yepany not really deliver the pace he's had in the past, I'm saying the same about Yoltek. This kid is, I mean, he's young. He's got a lot of potential to still unlock, but he hasn't yet shown it in this league where I can see and confidently say that he has got to a really strong position driving-wise. I know if he put the effort in, he would be one of the fastest on the circuit by a country mile. He just doesn't. That's the issue. And he's again very hard-footed. I think he's a very motivational, emotional driver. If he's feeling positive, he will absolutely dominate. If he's even feeling slightly neutral, you'll see him just crumble apart, and his race will just go into pot. So, you know, right now P15 on an out lap, ready to go for a hot lap. But I want to see more from him when we actually get to the lap time pace.
Yeah. I think it is plain to see. Those who know what they're talking about can rate Yeltek very highly. There was a race, the 5th round, it was Spain, and it was an absolutely incredible drive. It was wet, but it wasn't quite wet enough for inters, and he was flying around about a second a lap quicker than everyone else in the race. It was absolutely fantastic to watch.
Well, I'm aware we haven't actually done a hot lap rundown, but we do have some idiot and Yolta who are currently just starting the hot laps. Dennis has retired. But that's he's done that through choice. He's done that at the hairpin.
Interesting. Might be a case of a quali ban. Hasn't set a time in yet.
I don't know how he would have got a quali ban though, unless he's accrued penalty points that has eventually resulted in him getting a quali ban. But 8 minutes into the session and then retiring after doing 2 outlaps, something doesn't seem right. I don't think it's a quali ban. I think there's something that's not right in his current racing. However, somebody has gone purple sector 1. So bear that in mind as he comes through the circuit. He might actually top the timing boards.
Yeah, seriously quick driver. Never quite had the luck when I've seen him, but when his luck is on it and when he is fully focused, he is by far one of the quickest drivers I've seen.
And actually one of the most consistent too. This guy really does take to the circuit. He learns every corner at maximum speed and just somehow carries that over and over and over again, lap after lap after lap. And it doesn't matter how old his tyres are. He will just continue to chuck these lap times in, and you can rely on him to deliver a high performance every single race. Right now though, he comes through the final few corners, the awkward triangle I like to call it. And he comes around the bump that doesn't exist in real life but does exist in the game as Yolta shuts my mouth, but so does some idiot with a 127.469, 2/10 faster than Yolta.
Yeah, and I don't think that's everything he's got either. I think Yonti, no, so it was Danico that got a lot closer there. He's now P4, jumping Hypers again. Speaking of, has just started his second attempt at a hot lap. Down into turn 1. No brakes through the first part of that. Absolutely inch perfect.
I have had it confirmed Dennis did in fact actually have a quali ban. He just completely forgot that he had it. So, I mean, at least he didn't get a time on the board. I don't know if he broke any rules by doing 2 outlaps. He's lucky that he invalidated his first, I guess, in that respect, because if he'd have chucked a time on the board, he would have been in serious trouble. But yeah, we'll see. Luke has backed out of his hot laps. He's not actually going to be the next fastest driver across the line. We have got Spice who's coming, Hypers who's coming up to the back of him right now. And I think he's been hindered by that.
I'm not too sure. I think he got out of the way in a fairly timely manner. Didn't interrupt any acceleration from him. But this is a seriously quick lap. I don't know if you've been watching, but he just makes it easy. He really does make it look so easy.
We were saying about
So
how
controlled.
Yalta is so young and yet has still so much potential to unlock. Hypers is in exactly the same boat. He's really quite young still. I think he's 14 actually currently, and he obviously can't even qualify for esports until he's 16. So bear that in mind. If he's got 2 years to carry on working on his driving and carry on improving, this guy is going to be tremendous when we get to esports level. Yalta has retired though. 127.6 is where he currently sits and will not be improving his time. That is 2/10 off of current pole position. And now Hypers, who's raised the bar, takes himself to 127.168.
Yep, getting closer to my prediction of a 26. I think it will be a high 26. I'm not sure how much this track has got to give, because that was a pretty flawless lap. But it boggles the mind how controlled he is on the throttle. Not a single hint of that car wanting to oversteer. As Mizzo gets really close, it's 27.2. Looking pretty good for my prediction.
Hey, really are. Mizzo's really delivering today. 127.168 is the current pole sitting time done by Hypers. Now, we predicted that Camille would be up there in the top 3 as well. Now, based on his last week's performance in Russia, he's not going to be anywhere near that. Again, it begs the question of, is he using his old pedals? Has he just got used to his new pedals? Or is he still in the same position as he was last week where he just didn't feel right on the circuit? Looking at his lines through the final sector, he looks pretty comfortable actually. I think he might chuck on a time that is huge. Here we go to the line there. New pole position. 127.007. James Bond, eat your heart out.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. That's tearing up the notes as we speak. That was a really great time from Camille. I think that's firmly answered your question, Ben, to be honest. He's back.
Yeah, for sure.
He's had an off week and he is back.
Camille has come here to kill, and we'll see whether or not he can deliver that. 6 minutes 15 remaining in the session. He does still have something to worry about in that Hypers and Mizzo are only actually a 10th and 2/10 behind him. There's still a chance for them to improve it, and they can do that. These are drivers that we expect to be at the very top by a margin.
It's a 3-horse race, that's for sure. Slim Idiot, not too far behind, but I think his strength really relies on being able to work those tires longer than the rest of the drivers. He's absolutely fantastic. He's a joy to sort of work strategy on. Because
it's almost like you're teammates with him in another league.
It is almost.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm really looking these guys up
towards him.
But
no, in fairness, his race pace is tremendous, isn't it? Let's be honest. He's so consistent. He's so quick. He's one to rely on.
Yeah, for sure. He is someone who will get those tires further than anyone else, in my mind.
So I've heard Yalta actually hit his rear tyre on the pit wall, and that's what caused him to DNF. So whilst he was P2 originally, he's obviously fallen now to P6, and the drivers around the circuit will be looking to improve their times that they're on already, although Kagan will not be one to do that. A 128.138 is the best he can achieve right now. He does have enough time to get in the pits, swap the tyres, and go again. That's a guarantee. Does he have the pace to close in? Realistically, if he wants to get into the top 10, we're looking at a 4/10 improvement, and that's as is right now. We're still going to see many more lap times chucked in that are going to be improvements.
Yeah, Beaker, definitely one that needs to improve. Over a second adrift at the moment, not where he should be. He should firmly be in that midfield battle, but not quite hitting the heights that he's expected of in his first stint, or first and second stint of quali. He's about to go for another hot lap. Just making his way up to 130R now. Hugo's, I think, the only other one on a hot lap, apart from Kagan, who's obviously backed out. So
now, is it time? I think it's that time, isn't it?
I think it would be a good guess that it would be a time before a certain weather event, yeah?
Yeah, I think it might be the calm before the storm. Most of the drivers were just in the pits prepping themselves for that final push. They're not worked out exactly how they're going to attack this necessarily. They may go for that soft stint, as everybody seems to be. Although, I'm pretty certain that this is a circuit you need to go soft to hards. Oh no, soft to mediums is doable, isn't it, right?
Yeah, you're talking to the guy that hasn't raced competitively in so
No,
long.
I was trying to remember because I raced here not that long ago, and I'm pretty certain it was a soft to medium strategy. But I don't know. So it's a. I'm thinking the hards would obviously be a beneficial tire to start on and then chuck to the softs later. But who knows? If the pace difference is tremendous between the mediums and the hards, then you always want to go mediums no matter what. Even if you have to two-stop, then you should do that. But I don't think Japan is a circuit where you massively rely on too much tire grip. Obviously, the S's in the first sector rely on a lot of aerodynamical grip and a little bit of mechanical grip too. But
okay, I think we've got some idiot coming for pole here. He's just coming through that final chicane. He's really attacked it. I think he's had a purple sector too. Hugo's had a purple sector too briefly. Idiot took it and got the exact same time as Hypers.
Yeah.
27.168. Fantastic stuff.
And you got Beaker coming around the final few corners as well now. We're now over the bump and across the line. He will improve, I think. Yes, he does. P9, 127.648. Only 300ths of a second faster than Danico and 100th of a second slower than Spicy.
Yeah, and of course I think he's going to drop down as the guys behind him get their final hot laps in. JC only made one attempt, and it was a medium run, 29.3. He's well down there. But he is now out on the soft tyre, so he's going to give it everything he's got.
Now, Just Chillin' is a driver that I like to talk about quite a lot. He is quite the consistent driver in some races, although Russia last week did not look to be that kind of race. He's fast. I like to watch him when he's doing his quali runs because he does like to push the car to the limit, but he just doesn't seem to get those lap times in. It kind of begs the question of, is slow and steady sometimes faster than going as hard as he can be? Watch him and see how he does his lines. Obviously right now he's on an out lap, but we'll see later. Yeah,
just getting out of the way of Luke here, but I think Luke's also on an out lap. So this is most certainly the storm. Here we are. It's arrived. Yonti first to go. And there's a yellow flag. I think Danico had a bit of a moment coming out of Degna 2, sorry. He's lost the car.
Somebody is retired, so he's clearly of a mindset that, well, I can't improve now, so 127.168 is going to have to be enough. Right now, that's P3. So if Mizzo improves by even just less than a tenth, he'll actually be knocked down a place or two. And that's the same for Hugo. He's in the same boat. Beaker retires as well, so P9 at best. I fully expect that those guys behind will actually be able to jump up the field and knock him outside of the top 10. P11 is actually where we see Beaker come to his element. Start to go for the harder compound tire initially, switch over to the softer tire, and then just tear it up when it comes to the race. But, saying it and doing it, two very different things.
Yeah, that is certain. It's such a hard track, this Suzuka. It's one of the unforgiving ones. It is completely lined by grass. There's no runoff at all apart from 130R. So it really is who can handle the pressure the best here.
And even 130R is, yes, you've got a runoff area, but it's so easy to go side by side with someone and make a massive mistake. I've actually been, as a result of that, found myself in the wall and DNF'd through just taking it a little bit too aggressive. Oh, Yonti getting a back end kick out there, but does cross the line, does not improve enough in order for him to jump any places. P6 is where he's going to sit. We have a racing point of Luke coming up to the line.
Yeah, I mean, perfect timing by Mizzo and also Danico. They are the final guys to get through, and it's a purple sector 2 from Hypers as he comes into the chicane now.
Oh, Just Chilling. Didn't get enough there. That is not good news for him at all. Kagan just ahead of Hypers, it looks like. Kagan will cross the line and stay P13. Hypers to improve, but not improve enough. Camille can actually hold this out. We didn't see this coming at all. We both said Hypers P1, Camille P whatever. Right now, Camille P1. Mizzo, the only person who can potentially dethrone him. I think he might actually
Camille
do that.
he's messed it up on that final, through Spoon actually. Mizzo just passing him. So it is all on Mick Lehner.
He is faster, but currently, if the timer I've just seen on the top right is accurate, then it's not going to be fast enough. But we do still have these few corners. The exit of Dreams is absolutely required. Mizzo cannot get destabilized by the bump. He does slightly. Comes down to the inside, and he doesn't improve.
Yeah.
He will stay P4. Camille on the pole position.
just caught out by the bump, I think, Mizzo. I think he was set to improve. I'm not sure, maybe a P3 in store, but yeah, a little bit of oversteer over that final bump, and P4 it is for Mick. Crucially, behind his RNL teammate, Some Idiot, so there will be a bit of bragging rights going on, I think.
A little bit of friendly banter, I think, among the teams. But Camille will take pole position with a 1:27.007. Clearly, James Bond came through for him and held him at the top step. With Hypers in P2, with Some Idiot in P3. Mizzo sits there in 4th, with Hugo's chasing him down in 5th. Yonti in 6th place. Spicy in 7th. Yolta in 8th, who did do a lap and then had to DNF as a result of contact with the pit wall. Beaker gets P9. Danico gets the remaining of the top 10 places, with Copy getting the best of the rest award and optimal strategy situation. Luke getting P12, Kagan P13, Just Chillin P14, and Dennis with a qualifying ban. And I think Yepany might be in the same boat. I didn't see him do a lap even once.
Yepany hasn't been here that regularly, so I would be very surprised if he does have a qualifying ban.
Also, I have to make you aware of something that you'll be very happy about. So you know your good friend Mizzo, also known as Mick? If he finishes P4 today, he's World Drivers' Champion.
World Drivers' Champion.
That's correct.
Wow.
In the European Racing Series, he is World Drivers' Champion.
I'm not surprised at all.
So he would be the European World Drivers' Champion. If that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
So technically he's the European Drivers' Champion. But we do have an American here.
It was also Brownie that had a qualifying ban, but he's not here today, so he'll have to serve that in the next race.
Yeah.
He's present.
Now the track is dry. You can see in the sky. Sorry, there is not really a cloud to see, which means it's going to be great for these guys that have decided to start on the soft tires initially. They will have very strong grip on the first few laps. However, the fuel weight coming into it will actually slow them down quite drastically. And you're looking at the likes of Copy, Luke, and those outside that have got the medium tires on to later on in the race really start to shine. Dennis and Yepany obviously had the qualifying bans. This is their opportunity to bring themselves right into those points positions and potentially secure something massive for them. Who knows? This is a race where anything can literally happen. You know, you can have mistakes going in the spoon, you can have mistakes going in the hairpin. People will send it into the hairpin, that's for guaranteed. You might even get a side-by-side action in 130R. This is a circuit that delivers year on year.
Yeah, and one thing I will expect is the Dunlop curve, the one after the S's. It's a lot tighter than some people might anticipate, and with that extra fuel road, they just might run a little bit extra wide. And as I said, no runoff. It is just grass out there, and if you touch that grass, you are around. And Degna won another place, just a lift in qualifying, but it's sometimes difficult to anticipate with a higher fuel load that you do sometimes have to brake. So we might see a couple of guys running wide or overshooting that corner there as well.
Well, it is going to be actually Hypers leading this current formation lap, as it was Camille that had some sort of weird network lag issue, although they have now had order restored. Camille will resume P1 again. And ultimately, he needs to make sure the running towards turn 1 is as quick and as clean as can be. You cannot have any wheel spin on the start there. If he does, he will just find himself in a world of pain. Hypers will get a good start, and he will absolutely be on the rear end of that Red Bull. It's all down to Camille to defend as hard as can be. And Mizzo, if he finishes as he is right now, he will be the Drivers' Champion at the end of this Grand Prix. But that doesn't mean anything, necessarily, if he can't get himself to the end.
Yeah, I mean, Camille, he has got the least enviable job in esports right now. Holding back Veloce Hypers. Good luck to him. That's all I can say. Good luck to him.
Yeah.
Quicker over one lap, yes, clearly, but over 27, I'm not so sure. It's going to be a big ask for him to win this race.
Well, he may not need to necessarily. If he lets him go and just sits in his toe, then maybe he can actually do what is required. But the lights are on here in the Japanese Grand Prix for the European Racing Series. It's Camille who needs the start of champions, but Hypers is there. Some Idiot's also got a good start, and he's already looking to get the inside of Hypers. They are going to be effectively too wide coming into turn 1, and Camille has managed to hold it back. Let's keep an eye on the back runners as well, because Yolta and Just Chillin. Yolta and Beaker were the words I was trying to get out there. They're actually P8 and P9 and already working their way up the field.
Yeah, huge slides from Dennis and Yepany, struggling to get the temp into those medium tyres. Yepany trying it around the outside of the S's, but just thinking better of it, and bit further up front, we've got Daniko and Luke side by side going to Degna 1. Who's going to give? It is Luke that gives, and Daniko gains a position. He's up to P10 now.
Yeah, and he's already having a great time so far in this race, but I keep seeing mistakes that are made in this race, in his races, sorry, that just seem to cause him to fall further down the field. He can't afford for that to happen, especially on a circuit like this. Recovery is so difficult, and Yepany just chilling in swap places.
Yeah, what a move. That was the move of dreams from Yepany. Just drove around the outside of that hairpin like just chilling wasn't even there. Absolutely brilliant from him.
Now, P1 still remains as Camille. Hyper's still chasing down in P2. Samidia right there as well, with Hugo's moving up to P4. Mizzo moving out of the position that will put him as a driver's champion if he can get back in it and hold it for the rest of this race. Copy, kind of losing a bit of time to Luke. Still within DRS range, but luckily this is a circuit where DRS actually isn't that big a deal. It's only one straight, all the way down the home straight.
And here comes Hypers around the outside of turn 1. He's going to go for it. And it's side by side through turn 1.
Oh!
And there's still side by side. I think Camille's just come out on top here. He closes the door. And that gives him P1. He's got to do that 27 more times, mind you.
Well, not only that, he also has to worry about the racing point that's behind this battle as well. You know, he is right here, and every time that these two will scrap, Smitty will just watch this, see an opportunity, see a little window of where he can just slip his car through, and that's him done. He won't even hesitate to send it. He'll be straight up into P1. Smitty has actually got a chance here to win this Grand Prix.
Yeah, he's a very calculating driver. Until something goes wrong, he does get a bit emotional, but he's thinking about the big picture constantly. He won't be fighting for positions. He'll be thinking solely about the overall win, and probably just letting these two play cat and mouse and just trying to stay with them, stay in that DRS, and more importantly, stay ahead of Hugo's behind.
Lovely little battles happening on the field so far. Tons of trainage going on right now. Daniko is still here with Yolta. He also has Luke hunting him down as well, but Daniko's in a better position. He actually has a huge toe from Yolta that Yolta's got, I guess, slightly on Beaker, but the favour goes towards Daniko.
Yep. Yepany.
Hang on, Mizzo's going for a send here alongside Hugo's down into the triangle, back up to P4. He recovers the place he lost, but now he has to worry about that gap that's between him and Samidia. I believe that gap, when they cross the line now, is actually past, yeah, look at that, 2 seconds. He doesn't have DRS.
Not seeing 2 seconds anywhere on my timings.
Oh, my bad, it was gap to leader, my beat.
So Mizzo 1.1 away from Samidia, but I think this is going to be a really intense lap from him. We can see him push, because obviously these guys are running at about 95% most of the time. So you can, if you really want to burn that ERS, burn that fuel, you can get back up there if you need to. But you've got to think long term at the same time.
Yoltek and Beaker, they had a very close moment going through the S's. They very nearly touched tips, but it's still Beaker that stays ahead as it stands. Hyper's right there on the back of the Red Bull. He may go for it here, to be honest, but he probably won't. He wants to manage his ERS. He wants to manage Camille's ERS, and Camille giving him all the space, skidding on the grass. Oh, that was so nearly a major mistake there, and that's actually allowed Hypers to get through, but Camille returns back to his former position, back in a P1. Camille, definitely a code brown right there.
Yeah, and looked like Hypers gave that position back. Maybe not interested in taking the lead so early on.
I think he's trying to hold Camille, like, into a very sweaty scenario, right? If you are the driver behind, if you can sit and apply an obscene amount of pressure to the driver ahead of you, they're going to make mistakes. That's the end of the story. They're always going to crumble at some point, whether it be a very long time, whether it's a quick time, who knows? But that you can guarantee that you will always see the driver ahead crumble, and here comes Hypers down the inside of Camille. It's going to be a very simple overtake. I don't think Camille can hold this back unless he gets the cutback of Dreams, which he might because Hypers ran deep, but Camille will slot in behind, and he needs this. Look at his ERS in comparison to Hypers. It's more than double what Camille has got, and this is not looking good for Camille ERS-wise.
Yeah, and Mizzo, after that lap to try and regain the DRS, has expended some of his ERS, and Hugo's behind doing very well for ERS as well. He's around 85, so he will be able to, like a coiled viper, spring at Mizzo. I like that reference. I want to use that more often.
That painted such a clear picture in my mind. That was actually a really, really solid reference. I fully understood exactly where you were going with that. And you know what, Mizzo, I genuinely think he's going to be driver's champion today.
Yeah, I mean, he is not someone who gets caught up in incidents generally. He's a very solid driver, very quick, but, also keeps his head around him. So I think probably not a win today, but I think he'll do enough, yeah.
Yeah, he'll get the job done, let's be honest. Again, he's the kind of driver who doesn't always go for the glory, but he will always be in a great position where he'll secure some serious points that will help him towards his Drivers' Championship. My only worry, again, later is when these soft tyres start to drop off the cliff, and they will drop hard. That's the bit where we see Mizzo start to crumble a little bit, sometimes even getting these penalties. This is a circuit, you can't have that happen. There are two very major points where you will get 5-second penalties instantly if you should make a mistake. And Mizzo would be the one I would suspect that if out of the top 4, they would get that problem.
I think I'm going to have to disagree. I'm going to stick up for my guy there. I think Camille maybe is out of the top 4, maybe the loose cannon, I would say. Maybe prone to just...
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Gotta stick up for my guy, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I completely understand. Mizzo has delivered not just in this league but in many leagues in the past where he's actually shown he has a really, really good consistency. So it's fair to completely disagree. However,
and there's Camille. There's Camille. Camille is out.
Cannon.
And Hypers as well down in P5. So are coming together through the hairpin. And he's side by side with his teammate now, and it's also Hugo's, I think, may have got an illegal overtake, had to let them back past. Hugo's got damage.
Yeah.
Some idiot, no damage, I don't think. Mizzo, definitely no damage. So they have really, as I was saying, lucked into a big, big result if they can keep this up.
And this supports what you were saying as well about Mizzo, how he keeps out of trouble, stays out of these incidents, and finds himself in a great position as a result. Now Hyper's stuck behind his teammate, who's currently actually struggling to keep up with Yonti. He's just now broken that 1-second margin. If he's got the exit of dreams, he might actually still break back into it, but I don't think he has. DRS is available for both of them. He's good.
He's got no ERS. Spicy in big trouble. He was about 1.1 away from Yonti before this incident with nothing left in his battery. He was really struggling.
So the pit lane has now got 2 drivers heading into it. Oh, no, Camille's decided actually he doesn't want to. It's just Hugo's who's got the pit lane. He did have a missing end plate. Camille has the same. And he's going to find out as he goes through the S section just how required that end plate actually is.
Yeah, he's worked all week for the balance on this car, I would say. And just not having that is going to completely throw everything. It's going to throw his turning in point. He's actually got more oversteer than understeer, interestingly enough. So maybe a knock in confidence as well as some burnt up tyres from the spin.
This battle between Yolta and Bika has been raging since the beginning
and there's
of the race.
Danico. Danico's gone wide. I think he's lost it on the exit of the hairpin. But that is Yepany now up to P10. So, just dropped down to P11. They're side by side through Spoon actually. A little bit of contact, but nothing wrong with your elbows out, I think.
All's fair in love and racing, and right now it's Yepany who won that battle as again Yolta and Bika still going at it in towards 130R. Yolta's mode 2 on his ERS. He's not looking for the overtake right here, right now. He's trying to just sustain his levels, keep himself about half bar. Ideally you want to gain more than that, but if you can't gain more and still keep pace, then yeah, you're right. So stay about half bar and just carry on as it is. Bika doesn't have the toe that he needs in order to keep Yolta back, but again, Yolta's not really gaining. Clearly, Bika has way less aerodynamical wings here than Yolta, and as a result, this is allowing him to keep his position, P6, and also keep himself to the back of Spicy, who is dropping away from the front 4.
Yeah, not a pretty track to try and overtake on. I think Hypers and Camille kind of noticed that going into the hairpin, but I think that's Salt and Wound. That springs to mind.
Yeah. For definite. And he's gone hard. He's trying to go to the end. And he's retired, actually. He's had enough. Oh, dear. Not good.
I mean, I wouldn't bet against the safety car in Suzuka, to be honest. But, obviously doesn't want to ride out there miserably for the next 20 laps. And I can understand that.
See,
big fight for P9. Sorry, big fight for P9 developing. This little train here. And it's only going to get worse for Kagan as the race goes on. As those tyres degrade, he has got a group of mediums behind him, which are easily going to overcome that tyre deficit.
But Sumidia has got a gap and a half. It's currently 8 tenths, almost 9 tenths between him and Mizzo. Yonti's there still, and he's still very much fighting for this. Hyper's actually closing in a little bit more than these guys ahead would like. He does have a lot of ERS to use though, so he really can. And a lap time to boot. Look at that, 1:31.245. The lap before was where we saw the incident. And Hyper's, yeah, he did fall down to P5 initially, swap places back with Spicy up to P4, and he's already ready to fire one on Yonti. And we've got another yellow flag. That is actually a Haas, that's Beaker. I wonder what happened to him then. It looked like he just had... But surely he didn't make a mistake. That must have been contact. And I can only imagine that was with him and Yoltas. We'll have a look at Yoltas' win. Looks all good. Maybe Spicy. No, I don't see what's wrong then. No idea.
Well, like I said, unforgiving track, not much runoff. Touch of grass is all you need to send you, you know, every which way. But Hypers, I mean, it's not like a Mercedes to sandbag, but he's got 85% ERS on the back of this group, and no one else is above 25%.
I think he's playing the whole protect you softs, they'll protect you later scenario on these guys, so he's not actually trying to get the extra speed out of the corners unnecessarily. You know, using the electric battery will actually add additional rotation to the tires, which sounds brilliant when it comes to a straight line pace, but when you're coming out of these corners and you need that extra friction, you know, adding that extra bit of battery and rotation means you're going to weigh your tires even more. But if he can stay with his natural pace like this right here with his power, although he's decided it's time to pit.
Undercut.
Interesting.
Locking up his brakes to make sure he didn't get a penalty there, but it's on to the mediums as the Mercedes pit crew works of sheer magic by not being there but still changing the tires. And Yeppany up into P7, he's past Kagan. I didn't see what happened, but coming through turn 1 ahead of the Turkish driver. And Copy right behind now, looking for blood.
Copy in a great position right now overall. Obviously, when he switches to these soft tires later in this race, he's going to be feeling very comfortable and very quick. But he needs to maintain a good level of pace on these mediums right now. And with all that extra fuel, it's not easy to do. But, you know, fair play to him. He's currently sat P9. He's still within this DRS train for P7. Yeppany only 2.5 seconds away from the driver ahead. We've got Yellow Flag Sector 1 and 3. I don't see anybody who may have caused that. Potentially Beaker again.
Beaker is in first gear. Revving the nuts out of it.
He looks frustrated. He looks very frustrated. Only a
engine
very
might
angry
be,
driver would do that, wouldn't he?
Yep.
Interesting. Alright, well, we'll come back to that later.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm thinking technical problem, but I don't see why he would have gone down to first gear in the first place.
Unless his car just doesn't want to shift up, but Spicy and Luke, they are very close together. DRS available for both these drivers, or is it? Spicy now may have actually just dropped out of DRS range of Yonti. Yonti's in, yeah. 3 people in.
So let's see where they come. They've clearly had to come in to cover the undercut by Hypers. All onto the same strategy, I think. Oh, Mizzo's been held. Mizzo's been held slightly, so he's lost out to Yonti. And this is going to be really, really close. Somebody, I think, has just got it. He has. Stays out in front. But this is going to be the hard part, keeping him behind.
And that's, you know, that's great. Hyper's managed to jump 2 cars without really having to worry about too much. And he's already in the attack mode for Sumidia. The tyres being warmer for Hyper's mean he can do this much earlier. He can actually go for it in towards 130R and then use the home straight to then just dart away and try and maintain that pace ahead of him. However, I get the feeling that Hypers is not going to do that. He's just going to bide his time. The worry he has, though, is he does have Yonti, he does have Mizzo still here, still ready to go.
Well, biding your time is great and all, but, you know, you never know what's around the corner. You really don't, as he probably noticed when Camille rear-ended him going into the hairpin. Anything can happen.
Spicy, they're going side by side in towards 130R. It will be Luke that gets ahead as we go into the corner, and he will now secure P2 for now. But obviously the top 6, 7 drivers are yet to pit.
I expect, yeah, Beaker retirement, speeding in the pit lane despite being stuck in first gear.
Oh, Yolta. as well.
That's a
Again,
shame.
speeding in the pit lane, that is not good at all. Again, same scenario. I've seen him be fast, but I've not seen him be consistent. Penalties being applied. And that one mistake may cost him a lot of places.
Here we go. DRS open for Hypers. He does pull to the inside. Some idiot immediately. He was always looking in his mirrors down that straight. As soon as Hypers moves, idiot moves with him. He's not going to give this up without the toughest fight I think we'll ever see in a Formula One race.
If you need to go to the toilet, go now.
Don't.
If you need a popcorn
Don't.
break, go now. If you need juice or pop or whatever you want to call it, go now, because this battle is about to get seriously lively. Hypers ready to attack the racing point of Samidia, and you know, like you said, he's going to defend. He's going to get the boxing gloves out, he's going to get the elbow pads out, and he is going to get angry.
Does that mean I can go for juice as well?
Yeah, if you want, I'll let you. What, are you going to go for a blackcurrant?
No, Mizzo's dropped behind Yeltek as well. Well, Yeltek obviously with a 5-second penalty, but Mizzo's dropped all the way down to P11 with that stop. He's lost 3 positions now. He's in big trouble.
He really is. You know, again, needs to finish P4 if he wants to secure the Drivers' Championship. Granted, it might not happen in this race, he might get it in the next race, but he still has to get a move on. He cannot sit behind them. Spicy. Also in attack mode on Luke here. He's got DRS. He's already in the toe. He's flicked round to the outside. The soft tyres seems to still be working better than the medium right now, or at least down on the home straight. In towards turn 1. Spicy will take race lead. Yeah, Luke here too, still waiting for a recovery position, and Yepany.
Here comes Hypers. Idiot to the right-hand side, and I think this is going to be a slam dunk for Hypers, yep.
I think
Like
I think Samidia knew that was a done deal. Yeah. Despite how much he wants to fight, there was no way he could hold him back. He'd have to double move, maybe even triple move. Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I think that wouldn't even solve it. The difference in pace, they just fired it up into overtake, opened the rear wing. See you later. So net P1 for Hypers then, but just behind Spicy, 11 laps on the softs. What is his game plan?
I mean, he's still chucking in pace if you think about it. Look, he's keeping these guys at bay. And if he is able to chuck himself onto a medium set of tyres and maintain a good level of pace even then, he could actually still finish P5. He could, in fact, if Miz has been affected that hard, Spicy may actually take P4.
I'm not too sure about that one, but I'm just so surprised that Spicy, despite having almost no ERS, has managed to repass Luke.
Yeah, and it's very close between them. They are still just about 2 tenths separated. This is great news for Luke, because he's got the DRS, he's got the toe, he's got the ERS, and he's got the better tyres overall. And Spicy, despite the fact that he goes for the move on the inside to defend, it's going to be Luke straight around the outside in towards turn 1, and Luke will take race lead, at least for now.
Yeah, and a little bit of a gap beginning to form to P4. 1 second exactly is the gap. So just this front group splintering up a bit, which is probably going to make it easier for Hypers when he comes around to take these positions back, if you like. A fragmented group is always going to be much easier to pass because the drivers obviously don't have DRS.
Now, Samidia's game plan is likely to be that he sits behind Hypers, waiting for Hypers to take him nearer to the end of the race, manages ERS, and then overtake him as we get onto the DRS straight. However, the only one flaw he's got there is that he does not have anywhere near the ERS level that Hypers does. Hypers on 75%, even though he's being chased down. Samidia 32% after the braking zone into the hairpin, and he's still struggling to keep with Hypers.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's a great indicator of how hard a driver is trying that ERS. It really does hammer the fact home that Hypers is quick. Hypers is also not really trying compared to other drivers.
Yeah, he's just taking a stroll, isn't he, really? Let's be honest. He's having a whale of a time without having to worry about anything. Just chilling, ready to attack Yepany. And bear in mind, these guys are both on the same tyre strategy. Spicy in the pits now, coming off these 13-lap-old softs, will take the mediums now to the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the game plan was there. He's obviously ran those softs way longer than they should have been, way longer than they were good for. gonna come out, I don't know, P12, I think, so it's not really helped him a great deal. He's also got Danico gonna try and throw it up the outside. Doesn't get there in time, though. So he's almost dropped to the back of the field with that decision on strategy.
Yeah, but there are still 5 people up at the top that are yet to pit. They will pit around about lap 17, lap 18, chuck themselves onto some soft tyres, and they just carry that all the way to the end of the race. If the soft tyres are as fast as they suspected to be, then then there's going to be worry there for Spicy that he may not actually gain as much as he thought. Yeah, I understand where you come from, and I agree with you. I think that in terms of overall strategy, I think Spicy has made a mistake, but it's down to him now to really show us wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the one positive is those mediums are much younger. They haven't got as far to go. I think he's got, 13 laps now? Ironically, the same amount he did on those softs, so this is going to be a breeze for him in terms of tyre management. It's just ERS management I'm slightly worried about him.
There's a few drivers in the same boat, to be honest. I think even Samidia is in the same sort of situation. He's struggling ERS-wise. 13% as we come towards 130R, and Hyper's 55%. He has so much more ERS than Samidia, and they're almost at DRS braking zone. If they can't give it to Samidia any longer, if he falls more than 2/10s now, outside of Hyper's gap.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's if, not when, to be honest. Hyper's obviously not trying as much. Obviously, he's going to be so much smoother on his tyres, smoother on his ERS. Generally, he's going to be able to hold that pace that he's holding right now just for that little bit longer. As Idiot just struggling to stay with. Usually so calm and collected, but he's really having to push hard to stay with this guy.
And burn a lot of the battery, and that is the concern. He cannot keep up with Hypers at this current rate. I don't know how Hypers is doing it. I've seen him flick to mode 4 for a brief moment as he comes out of corners, just to help with that momentum. Watch here. See if he does the same thing. Mode 0, straight up to mode 4. Does not hesitate to get that extra bit of rotation once his car is pointing in the right direction and help pull himself away. Some idiot hasn't yet figured out that that's what he's doing, and is using more of the battery for longer than what Hypers is doing to get a little squirt of that electric power.
I'll tell you what, these kids, Ben, with their ERS management, back in our day,
Yeah, you drove. That was all you did. Danico making a mistake. Hugo goes down the inside up to P13, but Danico's still here, ready to fire one on the Renault. If a mistake is made in towards 130R, Danico might go for it, but I'm suspecting with the fact that he's moved to ERS mode 0, he's not bothered for it. He just wants to sit here, just kind of relax, put your feet up, enjoy the rest of this Grand Prix. I've got a long way to go before I can actually take this to the end. I've got another 11 laps.
I have a bit of information on the Mizzo problem. He has DRS failure.
Oh,
that rear wing firmly shut on that main straight.
Well, I mean, that'll do it, but he's currently set, what, P5? Net P5 overall?
Yeah, all he has to do is get past the LTEC. I mean, he's sticking with him easily enough without the DRS. He just hasn't got that extra push as Yonti gets on the grass coming out of Dunlop Curve, just in front of these two. But yeah, as I was saying, he just hasn't got that extra push. He got a poor exit out of the final chicane, and obviously without the DRS wasn't able to make that up. But I think it is a matter of time for Mick.
Honestly, I think he's going to get it today. I think the Drivers' Championship is his. All he has to do is remain consistent and then just sit here on the back of Yolta, despite the fact the gap is so close between them. He actually doesn't have to pass him yet. He can just let Yolta burn these tyres away, make mistakes, get penalties, and then later on, Mizzo just cruises them by. If Yolta runs wide, goes into the pit wall again like he did in qualifying, Mizzo will immediately inherit net P4 and will actually secure the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, here comes the leaders. I was just going to say the only thing that could really mix this up for him is a safety car right about now to help those 5 leaders, but they have come in on lap 16 for some fresh softs. Kagan for his second stop. No, he's still out. Oh, sorry, it was warnings. I thought he got done for speeding.
I am seeing Dennis and Copy really close together. That was not like that when we started our way into the pits. Copy clearly got held up. Great news for Dennis, but P13 is where he resumes this Grand Prix. Just chilling, who's yet to pit, will be the next in, I imagine, probably in about the end of this lap, if not the next. and get himself on the softs, but I think he's going to lose out a lot more than he thinks. So I think he's going to find himself down in dead last.
Yeah, Mizzo has actually gotten past the Altec. I'm not sure where that happened, but he certainly has. I think JC might be driving for his teammate right now. That would explain why he's stayed out a little bit longer. I think he might have a couple more laps out just to try and get in the way of Mizzo's rivals. But at the moment, he's doing exactly where he needs to what he needs to do. He's where he needs to be to win this championship. Luke on Spicy coming into Spoon. Spicy on Luke on those fresh, soft tires. And Spicy on that other strategy on the mediums.
And Luke obviously is favoured here right now. He's so close to the back of Spicy. He's got the grippier tyres. He's got the ERS if he wanted to use it, but he's sat in mode 0. So clearly decided staying on the back of Spicy would be the right answer to this situation. Spicy still saying P8. Just chilling into the pits then. He will trick himself off the mediums onto the softs and more than likely will fall to dead last.
Yeah, I mean, I think Luke just wait for the DRS, and that's what he's done. Around the outside into turn 1, easy as you like. Never the most comfortable place to be trying to overtake into that final chicane. It is easier to wait for the DRS.
We also have the Renault boys actually scrapping as well. This is for P9, yellow flag. That is a Ferrari. That is Danico. Massive 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. That will more than likely be nullified. 10 seconds is crazy in the amount of penalties to be applied here. Surely, if he made a mistake and ran off the circuit, there's no way he'd gain any time there.
Yeah, it does tend to. If you just keep your foot in, and if you exceed those track limits for long enough, it will just straight slap you with a 10-second. I think they brought that in after. You remember when Paul Ricard, when you could just stay off the track for the whole lap?
Yep, I remember.
I think they brought it in after that. I could be wrong though. But yeah, I'm surprised there's no team orders in the old Renault camp. Clearly 2 drivers on different strategies, and clearly 2 drivers that aren't communicating. But a 5-second penalty for Veloce Hypers.
And I was about to mention, yeah, exactly. I was about to mention
chicane.
that is the second area where you can get a mega penalty. We saw Danico get a 10-second penalty in turn 1, and the start of this final chicane here is where you can easily get a 5-second penalty, which right now will knock Hypers out of the top step. I honestly think that will probably be nullified and made down to a 3-second time penalty if he hasn't got enough warnings.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I completely agree there. And we've seen it before in other leagues, that 5-second penalty getting rescinded. It is harsh. It's extremely harsh.
I mean, it's harsh, but I think to an extent it's also, you know, you've abused the circuit. You can gain so much time there. 5-second penalty is obscene. You definitely don't want to be giving that to anybody. A 10-second penalty like what Danico got is even worse. You do not want that whatsoever. I think Danico is in a position where I wouldn't be surprised if he chose to retire, as this race is pretty much done and dusted for him.
It's getting cloud out there though, Ben.
I don't think we're going to see rain. I'd love to see rain. Rain would be tremendous.
Still a bit of blue in that sky, so yeah, I think it's going to hit a little bit after this race finishes. But some idiot dropping back as we see, but also running low on battery and fuel. So maybe a wounded animal, and Yonti might be feeling as Mizzo picks up a 5-second there. Exact same place.
And if it doesn't get nullified, he's going to be in a world of pain. That will be P4 lost there to Yoltik. Here we go with Kagan then. On the back of Luke, DRS is available. He's using it, but he's not using the ERS. He's just sat here, cozily sitting behind the racing point, allowing him to carry him forward whilst he's on these soft tyres. Overall, it benefits Kagan more to just use the toe, use the wake that Luke is carving into the air. And, you know, maybe you would say he's woke.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
Yepany chucked in the fastest lap a couple of laps ago. He is flying down in P11, as is Dennis, and this is tragical for Spicy. He's on those mediums, and he is seriously vulnerable. He's been passed twice now, and I would not be surprised at all when Dennis flicks it down the inside of 130R, or down the inside of turn 1.
We shall see now how we go throughout the remainder of this Grand Prix, but we do have 7 laps remaining. Hypers is currently your leader with a 5-second penalty applied due to a hard corner cut through the final chicane. Likelihood is it's going to be nullified, but right now, as we come across the line later, it will still be applied should he not pit again. I don't think he will, because ultimately you're going to lose way more than the 5 seconds, especially if you get that. If you serve it, you can't even get it appealed, so you definitely don't want that to happen.
You fight it out in the Discord, as you always do in these situations. Big moment from Dennis coming out of Spoon has given Spicy 1 lap before his execution, a stay of execution, and Yepany is getting closer as well to this group. So I think it might be an interesting battle for these final points positions. Copy on these softs all over the back of Kagan.
Yep.
Dropping back now though.
Mizzo, Yolta hunting Yonti. This is still a scrap for P3, but the gap for P2 is just a bit too much for them to gain anything physically on the circuit. Sumidiot P2 with a 3.3 gap to Hypers. Again, if the 5 second stays, Sumidiot will be your race winner. But I don't think that's going to carry through to the end of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Hypers doesn't win this out on track, with the 5 seconds included, that is. I'm concerned about Sumidiot. I think he's peaked maybe a little bit too soon. He's running out of fuel. He's running low on battery, but then again, most other drivers are. I think Mizzo's the only one with a decent amount, apart from obviously Hypers.
I mean, Mizzo's in a very familiar territory. He is, behind someone, pushing them to their limit, trying to manage their ERS and just overall maintain solid pace. Yolta getting a 3 second time penalty will help Mizzo in his appeal for the 5 second penalty he's already got. Should he not get it, he only has to improve by 2 seconds, which sounds very marginal. However, in a race where we're talking thousandths of a second, like Copy, for example, who's passing Kagan down the home straight, the 5 lap old softs working way. Hello.
Hello.
My network decided it was going to fall on his backside, so I may have lost connection there for a second. However, I'm back. Life is all good and not over. However, I do need to now reload my game because it's crashed, but also get a new invite.
Okay, and that's a huge move by Mizzo through the outside of the S's, and now on the inside, and now he has made that overtake, but Yeltek sniffing blood in the water, trying to capitalize on Yonti being offline, but doesn't quite make that pass. So Mizzo up into P3, and now Yonti is going to be holding his rival at bay briefly, and Mizzo, a rare opportunity for him to break away and break that DRS, hopefully, along with catch up to some idiot. 1.7 the gap between those two, and Copy also getting past Luke in that time frame. Dennis still unable to get past Spicy, and Yepany also closing in on this battle for P9. That's 2 World Championship points, I believe. Not much, but every little helps at the back of the field for these guys. Yeltek using all of his ERS he's mode for. I think he's probably going to wait for the home straight to try that overtake. But Yonti out of battery. That's under 10%, which means he gets nothing. And Yeltek closing up under braking. Through the chicane, over the bump. Try not to lose the car. DRS open. Yonti will get it too, of course, from Mizzo. We've got 3 laps to go. He's got 3 more chances. And not quite this time. Very similar on battery. I imagine pretty similar on fuel as well. One mistake. It's as reminiscent of Schumacher and Alonso in San Marino. One mistake. But we're not seeing any mistakes from either of these drivers.
And I'm back.
Howdy, brother.
Howdy. I just want to give a quick rundown, just double check I've got everything correct. So Hypers P1, Smitty P2, Mizzo P3, Yonta P4, Yolta P5, Copy 6, Luke 7th, Kagan 8th, Spicy 9, Dennis 10th.
Yep, that's fine.
Splendid. I mean, look at the gap that Hypers has pulled out. He is so far up the field.
He's hit that 5 seconds. And crucially, Mizzo right on him now. 1 second is the gap. And I saw Mizzo just hitting that fuel delta. It's flickering on and off. He's right on the bubble for fuel. Some idiot firmly in the negatives. This is going to be a grandstand finish, I think, for this second spot.
This is also something I haven't seen in quite a while. The drivers pushing each other so hard that they're literally all sitting on very minimal ERS. Majority of the time, those that are chasing are the ones that are going to conserve their ERS and just apply pressure naturally. This one is not that kind of race. Japan providing a very different experience for all of these drivers. Yolta's still here to attack Yonti. Yonti's still here to sit on the back of Mizzo, and Mizzo is still with a chance of taking P2.
Yeah, I think it's the fact this circuit is a rarity in that it only has one DRS zone. You know, we've got 2 DRS zones for most tracks these days. In Austria having 3 even, making it a bit of a sort of, yeah, you go ahead, I'll just follow you. You don't have that luxury in Suzuka. And yeah, we are seeing 4 drivers giving it their absolute all here.
Well, yeah, and then you've got another driver who's currently leading the race, and he's just got his feet up, it feels like. 5.6 seconds.
He's got a milkshake in one hand.
Flicking through his Spotify playlist in the other.
He's steering with his knees.
Got his butler doing the pedals for him. Accelerate now, Squire. Yepany on the back of Dennis still. The gap is still pretty close. This is for double up your points if you're Yepany, but we did see them go pretty toe-to-toe going down the home straight in towards turn 1. Didn't work out for Yepany. Did end up falling back into where he was before in P10. Although overall, these two have still gained quite a considerable amount of places. It's still not enough for them to really score big. Dennis P9, Yepany P10 means they're going to get 2 and 1. But this battle for P2 is the thing I want to stay tuned to. It can very easily change. Actually, scratch that. Yepany down the inside of Dennis in towards 130. Dennis getting squeezed off to the edge, but he's still within the track limits. He's going to have to brake later than Yepany in order to make it through into the chicane. I think he's managed to maintain that position, but for how long? DRS available to Yepany, and he's got the toe, but he's had to stick on the outside. He's not yet enabled a DRS, so he's actually having to do this on raw pace alone. He cannot pass. If he doesn't get ahead of him right now into turn 1, he's going to have to go for the cutback, and Dennis making a slide. Yep, and he's sticking it around the outside. This is not going to work out, and that's why he's on the grass and will go back to P10. Oh, what a battle that was.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Was there a battle for P2? I missed it. That was absolutely fantastic. That is a prime example of how to defend and a great example of how to attempt an overtake without smashing into the side of someone. Brilliant stuff. Inches apart, but keeping it clean.
You have to respect these drivers and how much they can literally go wheel to wheel but not actually touch each other. And despite the fact that Yepany didn't have DRS, he showed a raw pace that Dennis was struggling to handle. He still handled it. You know, I'm not taking anything away from Dennis at all. He really controlled that whole battle from beginning to end. But there was a moment of uncertainty there. There was a moment where Dennis was scared. I'm going to lose this place and I need these 2 points. Yepany hasn't given him any air to breathe with. 3/10, now 4/10 is the gap between him and Dennis. This is going to go to the very end. So is this battle for current P2.
Yeah, you mentioned 3/10, 2/10 the gap between second and third. Obviously, some idiot, no one to get that DRS off. Mizzo is closing. Idiot jigs to the outside and lets him through almost.
This is the final lap though, so he has to come back.
Yeah, I think it's a chance for him to just maybe recharge. Leave Mizzo out in the open. He's going to attempt a banzai move into the chicane. And I cannot wait to see it. I can't wait for this half a lap. Can we fast forward? This is the boring bit.
It's the whole back straight, isn't it? This is now the official count before the start. I mean, we always say it every time we get into the qualifying. This is the actual one where we're going to see it now coming into the circuit. You know, they're so close.
I'm not interested in these boring medium speed corners. I want to see I want to see Spoon flat out 130R and then a huge braking zone and a huge pileup.
Oh well, I mean the pileup would be a thing of dreams, but you know we don't want to necessarily see any driver lose these solid positions because we're talking about 2 podium positions here. We're also talking about a P4, which to one driver will mean Drivers' Championship. Right now, though, he's currently sat P2, and we go again on the 130R. This time, some idiot doesn't have the gap. Look how far back he is. Yonti and Yolta, they're really close. There was a touch, but Yolta could get him here.
Not quite close enough. Yonti trying that outside, some idiot just staying there, not interested in moving across, but it's going to be down to the line. Ran out of battery at the crucial moment. Obviously, Mizzo drops down to P4 with the penalty, so even if he doesn't get this appealed and fixed, he is our ERS Drivers Champion of season... don't tell me, it's season 5? Or was it season 6? I think it's season 5.
Season 5, I think. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Copy, sneaking P5 from Yeltec. I'm very surprised at that.
I mean, Copy, again, he's the driver who you can rely on to be consistent and so focused in the race, and he gains these positions by not making those mistakes. But, I mean, ultimately, the man of the hour was Hypers. Yes, he got a massive penalty for Konica in the final chicane, but he still maintained so much pace that he was able to secure a big enough gap to clear away that penalty and not even have to worry about it. Technically, he doesn't even have to go to the stewards because he could just say, well, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change anything. I'm still P1 and I'm be wasting my time if I did appeal it. So, yeah, Hyper's P1. Some idiot will take second. Yonti taking third, but massively, Mizzo, who even with a penalty, will still finish P4 and secure the Drivers' Championship victory for him here in the European Racing Series. It's Copy in P5, Yolta P6, Luke P7, Yepini P8, Spicy P9, with Hugo's P10 getting the final points position, with Dennis getting best of the rest, Kagan P12, just chilling P13, Danico P14. The DNFs were Danico, Bika, and Camille. Now, it leaves me with the final question. Bias aside, who's your driver of the day?
The man with the feet up. Veloce Hypers, without a shadow of doubt, a class above the rest today.
I'm actually giving it to Copy.
Okay.
I mean, look at it. P11 start, jumps up to P5, doesn't get any penalties, and has such a solid race. I think he deserves it. I mean, Hypers, we expect that of him. That's the problem now. He's very much the Hamilton. If he doesn't win, something's wrong.
Yeah, these are equal cars, though, remember? So it's a bit more impressive than dominating a championship for 5 years because you've got the best car.
Okay?
Schumacher's the best.
You got something you need to throw? Something you need to get off your chest?
Schumacher's the best. Sorry, I'm fine now.
All right, no, fair play. We'll give
it's
him
got
that.
me off my chest. Yeah, it's just simply one arm tied around the back. I think Hypers would have still won that race, to be honest. He was so good. So good.
And that's it for the Japanese Grand Prix here in the European Racing Series. I've been Ben Raggy McConnell. Joining me has been David Fawcett Tate. Thank you so much for joining me as per usual. You are awesome, and I appreciate every single time we get into the commentary booth together.
My pleasure.
And I look forward to seeing us both here next week when we are in, if I remember correctly, now I'm going to test my own track knowledge here, it's going to be Mexico.
I think you're right there. I think Mexico and then the USA. I think they swapped it around in the last couple of seasons. So yeah, I think you're right. And it's a tough track. There's a lot of 90 degrees, but there's also that middle section where you have to cut for your life and pray you don't get a penalty. So that will be very interesting.